evaṃ raktena rāgasya siddhir nāsaha rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ siddhir nāsaha rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ siddhir nāsaha.
Evaṃ raktena rāgasya siddhir nāsaha rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ siddhir nāsaha. MMK chapter 6 verse 10, concluding verse. Thus there is establishment of reddening neither together with nor apart from a reddened one. As with reddening, so for all happenings, there is establishment neither together nor apart. So, thinking about this verse overnight, I started thinking, well, shall I translate dharmas? Sarva-dharmāṇāṃ, genitive plural, means of all dharmas or for all dharmas. And I thought, shall I translate dharma as happening? Because as I thought about the meaning, what I was thinking about is what the Buddha said. According to some accounts, practically his last words. All samskaras, all confections, all fabrication, all doings, all confections confected with body, speech and mind are full of suffering and are impermanent. And all dharmas are not self. That means all dharmas are empty of their own self-existence. Anatman in Pali, anatta in Pali, anatman in Sanskrit. But not without self means empty of self-existence. So, in other words, shunya. Sarve dharme shunye. All dharmas are empty. And thinking about what that means, again, the footnote I just quoted 2 years ago, I wrote before I'd even heard of Carlo Rovelli, because I heard of Carlo Rovelli when he was featured on the Life Scientific with Jim Al-Khalili on BBC Radio 4. And as soon as I heard him talk about things like stones and happenings like kisses, I thought, bingo, that's exactly what Nāgārjuna is talking about. So then I made a connection from happenings back to dharmas. So usually I leave dharmas in the plural untranslated, but if there's a word in English that deserves to represent dharmas, it's happenings. So hence I decided to translate in this verse, sarva-dharmāṇāṃ, for all happenings. So in that case, rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ, so the suffix vat means like, so rāgavat means like raga. So raga means reddening, dyeing, colouring, therefore redness, emotion, desire, etc. So then when rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ, it's saying like raga, as with raga, so for all happenings. Then when I put it like that, well, then I want to translate raga not as redness as before, not as redness, but as reddening. Because what he's saying is that raga is like all happenings. So in that case, it's not redness, is it? It's reddening. And that works. So as you'll hear if you listen to the chapter 6 text and translation, which I'm going to read out next, I changed in the earlier parts, the earlier verses, I changed raga to reddening. Before I translate it as blushing, which is good because it's it's a happening, or redness, and I think redness was not good, so I'm changing that to reddening. So rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ, as with reddening, so for all happenings. Siddhir na. So siddhir, there is establishment. It's nominative singular feminine. Siddhi. Before na, siddhi goes to siddhir. So siddhi, there is establishment. Na, not saha, together or simultaneously. And na asaha, with sounding nāsaha, not together, not simultaneously, so not apart. That's the second line. Back to the first line, with the raga translated as reddening. So it's rāgasya is of reddening, and rāgasya siddhi, there is establishment of reddening. Nāsaha, neither together with nor apart from. And here we have so saha takes the instrumental of the object that's together with or apart from. So the object is raktena, instrumental singular of rakta. So neither together with nor apart from a reddened one. Nāsaha, raktena. And thus is evaṃ. It's like beginning of sutta says evaṃ me suttam. The Pali suttas always begin with evaṃ me suttam. Thus of me heard. Thus have I heard. So evaṃ, thus, there is establishment, siddhi, of reddening, rāgasya, neither together with nāsaha, nor apart, nāsaha, from a reddened one, raktena. Evaṃ raktena rāgasya, siddhir nāsaha. Thus there is establishment of reddening, neither together with nor apart from a reddened one. Rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ siddhir nāsaha. As with reddening, so for all happenings, there is establishment neither together nor apart. So this ultimately sounds like he's gone back to ontology. He's discussing the fact that all is empty. There is no establishment of any happenings. What's established is samskaras, confections, contrivances. But those contrivances or confections that we contrive with body, speech and mind, they're all full of suffering and impermanent. But happenings are not impermanent, and they're not full of suffering, because to be impermanent it's only non-empty things that are impermanent. What's empty has no beginning and no end. Anirodham, anutpadam. Therefore, it's beyond the eternity view and beyond the view of annihilation. Anuchedam ashashvatam. It's beyond singularity and plural. Anekartam ananartam. So a happening can't be identified with another happening, or it can't be differentiated, because it doesn't exist separately. Anekartam ananartam anagamam manirgamam. It's not about what's coming, agamam, time, the future that's coming. Anirgamam, it's not about the time that's going away, the past. As Carlo Rovelli has said quite independently of the Nāgārjuna's teaching, although I wrote to Carlo Rovelli and he was good enough to reply to my email. And it turns out that he's already familiar with J. Garfield's translation. So he picked up some gist of Nāgārjuna's teaching from that. Somewhat dirty filter though it is, via the from the Sanskrit to the Tibetan, and then from the Tibetan into the English through the filter of J. Garfield's understanding as a Western philosopher. So, all confections are full of suffering and impermanent. But all dharmas are not, all happenings are not full of suffering. The Buddha didn't say that happenings are full of suffering and impermanent. He said they're empty of their own self-existence. Anatta in Pali, not self. So, in that sense, it's not an ontological discussion. If the aim is to deepen our understanding and thereby dukkha pariyanta karma, and thereby allow, work towards the action which ends pariyanta, dukkha, suffering. You know, what I'm saying is that what is being said in this concluding verse needs to be understood in the wider context, that the Buddha wasn't interested in ontology for ontology's sake. Again, 26.10, 26.11. Avid samsara moolam samskaran avidvan samskarotyata. The samskaras, which are the root of samsara, thus does the ignorant one contrive, accumulate. Samskaroti. So samskaras and samskaroti are from the same root, samskri. So the confections that are the root of samsara, thus does the ignorant one confect. If you want an example, we've just had one in Jan Westerhoff's words. All there is, however, are constantly changing combinations of physical and psychological components. That is, an ignorant person confecting samskaras, confecting confections. And the confections which he's just confected are called physical and psychological components. They're things like stones in Jan Westerhoff's conception. They're full of suffering and impermanent. What we should be deepening our understanding of is empty happenings, dharmas. Sarva-dharmāṇāṃ shunya. All dharmas are empty. And it matters because the alternative to deepening our understanding of that is to contrive to keep on accumulating samskaroti. He accumulates. That is the translation preferred by Ananda Jyoti Bhikkhu when I consulted him a couple of years ago about that, while he was still speaking to me. I think he decided that I'm such a cantankerous fool that I'm not worth the trouble of continuing to communicate with, which is a shame. Anyway, pressing on regardless. Avidvan karakas tasman. Therefore, the ignorant one is the doer. Karakas, the doer. Sounds like I've contrived that to make it kind of fit in with my Alexander, my partiality towards Alexander jargon. But that is exactly what it means. Karaka means the one who does, nominative singular. From the Karaka means the agent, the doer. So Avidvan karakas tasman. The ignorant one is the doer. Evaṃ tattva darshanāt, not the wise one, because of tattva darshana. So what I'm suggesting is this is the soteriological import of this, is that if we deepen our understanding, that leads to non-doing. This is precisely how Walter Carrington wrote a thing saying, about letting the neck be free. That letting or allowing is not something that's got anything to do with action or doing. It goes back to understanding. Not that understanding exists as a non-empty thing, but so the understanding is a function of experience, of meeting teachers who know the score and surrendering yourself to their instruction. Like Marjorie Barlow used to say, every lesson should deepen the pupil's understanding of what those words mean. Let the neck be free. Deepen your understanding of what it is to allow. Nelly Benoit said exactly the same thing. You come here, you already know what the Alexander technique is. You come here to deepen your understanding. And that deepening of understanding in Alexander work, it's manifested in either doing or non-doing. You're either in the way or you're out of the way. So that's the soteriological import. We deepen our understanding not in order to do more, but to do less.
evaṃ raktena rāgasya siddhir saha nāsaha rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ siddhir saha nāsaha rāgavat sarva-dharmāṇāṃ siddhir saha nāsaha.